Welcome to VHS Sisters, a nostalgic movie podcast with two actual real-life sisters. Get into some jammies, grab your favorite beverage, and come hang out with us as I force my little sister to watch all of the movies that she missed growing up.
Ooh. Welcome to our spooky Halloween special.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Welcome to VHS Sisters, a very special, cozy podcast where me, Seisha, the older sister, shows...
And I, Melanie, the younger sister.
I love how we've just become British. I was like doing my best Tim Curry impression.
Oh, ooh. And on every Halloween, there's gonna be a cat, and there might be a bat.
I love that you I love that you know that song, but it not quite. So you're just making up your own Halloween song.
Yes, I mean that's pretty much what he did. So let's not pretend like this was rehearsed or something.
If you've listened to our previous podcast about The Worst Witch, also featuring the amazing actor Tim Curry, we are referring to the Anything Can Happen on Halloween song. I'm pretty convinced that they didn't have lyrics for that song. They invited Tim Curry to set and they're just like, let her rip. Let's just go. But we're not talking about The Worst Witch today. Today, we're talking about another movie that features the fine actor Tim Curry, a TV miniseries from 1990 called Stephen King's It, which you have somehow never seen before.
I've never seen it.
And I've just recently found out that not only have you never seen the miniseries, you've never seen the more recent remake movies
with Bill Skarsgård.
Which is fine. I mean, you can watch whatever you want because you're an adult woman and you have free will,
right?
For now,
exactly,
in this country, and you may do as you wish. But I'm not a fan of those movies. For me, this 1990 miniseries, which I saw when I was 10 years old, by the way,
insane,
is really the definitive portrayal of Pennywise for me. You haven't read the books. You didn't know what the story was about. Tell me what you knew about it going into this whole adventure.
So I knew that it was a creepy clown. I knew that he lived in the sewer.
Okay.
And that he had balloons. And then I also knew that, I guess that Tim Curry was it, at least in the original. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know a lot of I knew it was by Stephen King. I know the book is massive. And I know that people love the movie or are terrified because they are scared of clowns, but I didn't necessarily know what this was going to turn into. I didn't. How many kids was he going to trap in the sewer, Right.
So you just knew about the clown. You knew he had balloons. You didn't know that it was necessarily about kids. Did you know that it was sort of like a flashback story?
Kind of, yeah. And I think I got that from the sake of the two movies that are out now. I mean, I didn't watch them, but if you watch any movie preview nowadays, you basically have seen the movie, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So it's kind of I knew that they kind of flash back to either when they're teens, maybe, or...
So I don't want to talk too much about the remake movies because maybe it's a hot take. I just think they're bad for a lot of different reasons. And the reasons why I love the miniseries and the reason why I wanted you to see it for this podcast is because there's such a charm to it. And I think I told you for this movie, for me, is really cozy, even though it's incredibly scary and violent. but there's this weird blend of like early 90s coziness and also like sheer terror mostly from Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise, which we will definitely do a deep dive on. The new movies, I guess let's just get it out of the way. They basically are everything that I hate about modern movies, specifically modern horror. The lighting, the overuse of CGI, they're too long. And I understand the miniseries was a solid 3 hours when you put those two 90-minute specials together, but they just feel long. If I could describe the newer It movies in one word, it would be self-indulgent. Like they take a lot of liberties with the source material for like no reason. They're like, we're just going to do this weird side plot thing that wasn't actually in the book. We can talk about the ending of the movie, which is very controversial. The ending of the story is very controversial because if you couldn't tell, Stephen King wrote this movie on a shit ton of cocaine. And you can tell that like he started with a really strong premise and then it just kind of like fizzles out at the end. So in the remake movies, like when they go to defeat Pennywise at the end, it's all wrapped up in sort of like this ayahuasca like ritual.
No.
which that's the way it's described in the book. It's called the ritual of Chud, which they don't really get into in the miniseries because they didn't have that much time. They didn't have a budget for a whole ayahuasca tripping sequence.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we're gonna
did not expect that.
Yeah, they did. They do a bunch of other stuff in the sewer in the book to defeat the clown. We'll get into this too because you don't know anything about the book. I have read the book twice, and I've seen this mini series more times than I can count. And yeah, and you knew nothing, so I'm excited to like get into it.
Yeah, and like you said, you watched it at like 10 years old because that would have been 1990, so that would track.
It came out in November of 1990, so yeah, I would have been solidly 10.
Did you watch it at Mom's or did you watch it at Aunt Jackie's or?
Oh, I watched this at Aunt Jackie's.
Of course. You got to.
I wasn't allowed. So a little backstory for everyone just getting to know us. So my childhood, I think, was a little different than Melanie's.
Similar, but different.
I wasn't allowed
a lot of time at the Pasco house as well.
Right. So we have cousins and they were allowed, I think they were a little more unsupervised than we were. So when we were over there, we were allowed to, not allowed, but we just happened to be exposed to more intense media. So I definitely watched this miniseries at our aunt's house multiple times. So not only when it came on TV, but on VHS repeatedly when I was 10 or 11 years old. And it's funny, it's making me think of this quote going back to like being raised in sort of a different way. I always think of this quote. Somebody tweeted this once, but basically it goes like every Gen X kid was exposed to a Stephen King book way too early, and that's why they are the way they are.
Right.
And this is sort of like, if you watch this miniseries, this explains a lot about my expectations of childhood and adulthood, my fears, my trauma. Like I said, I did read this book twice, not as a kid, but as a teen and a young adult. I definitely read Misery when I was like 11 or 12, which is very violent.
Isn't it kind of sexual too? Like,
it's not sexual. Well, a lot of his books are sexual. And I mean, I definitely I'd say I read most of Stephen King's books between the ages of 10 and 20, like everything that was out. I think I like attempted to read The Stand like 4 summers in a row. That's like his longest book. This is also a long book. The book is almost 1,000 pages.
Wow.
So it was quite a feat to like try to adapt this into a miniseries. The director, Tommy Lee Wallace, his whole vision for this, to kind of get into like the lore and the backstory of like the actual miniseries, he envisioned it as like being a sort of Twin Peaks like serial. So almost like, I don't know, you kind of get the vibes too, because Twin Peaks is kind of like 80s meets 50s.
I have not seen Twin Peaks.
Well, that's going to be another podcast.
Separate pod, yeah, I know.
It's
series sisters or something.
No, it's just going to be Twin Peaks. It's just going to be Twin Peaks themed. And we will go through every single episode of Twin Peaks and The Return and the movie. I know you don't have time for this. It is essential. I do think you would enjoy it. It is weird, but that is the vision that the director had in mind. He's like, okay, this is going to be like a 10 or 12 part series and almost kind of like a soap opera, because that's also what Twin Peaks is.
Okay.
A little bit. And they were like, no, we don't have the money for this. Can we cut this down into 2-part miniseries, like 2 90-minute specials? And that's what you watched last night, which was squished into a 3-hour movie if you do stream it.
Yes.
So yeah, just like before we get into anything else, like what were your expectations of this?
So my expectations, I would say, would have been more so like, I think based on my limited knowledge of it, I thought it was going to be more of like a slasher. It was definitely a horror, like a suspense, a thriller in a way, but it's like I was expecting more like murder scenes and things like that. But I guess what held that back was the fact that it was on ABC.
Yeah.
Back when ABC was, a lot cooler. And they had this film or this miniseries on, and it seemed like obviously it was supposed to be for the whole family, maybe. I don't know if it was for the kiddos, but a lot of like young childhood, like adolescent themes going on growing up. So it was kind of felt like a kid's movie, but obviously it's a little too scary for some younger kids. So I don't know. It was kind of like a weird spot.
I want to know what part about it felt like a family movie to you.
Maybe so. Maybe like when the kids are like facing the bullies, or they're down by the river building a dam and having fun, and then just like, there was a lot of like fun, happy moments interwoven into this movie. So it was not totally. It wasn't all kills, all murder, all crazy clown. Like there was a lot of other parts in between that made it kind of seem a little family like esque, but I know that it's not a really like a family movie now that I've watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I think like I said, it's the reason why I always come back to this particular interpretation of it. And I guess there's only 2 of them really that have been made, because it is such like a daunting text to interpret. Yeah, it does have like this cozy quality about it. Like there's friends hanging out. We get some like 1950s musical moments, not only when they're kids, but also when they're adults later. So it's that juxtaposed with like a little kid getting his arm ripped off in a sewer.
But you don't really see the whole arm get ripped off, though. That's the thing.
Right. And that's like, yeah, not to, again, I'm going to probably keep bringing up the newer remakes, but that's the thing that I really fucking hated about the new ones, is that they do show that. They show all the blood. They show Pennywise chomping that arm right off that little kid, doing crazy stuff, doing a little dance. It's like too much. So I think the scariness with the miniseries is that you don't get to see that much, and it really lets your imagination work. And it's the suggestion of violence. It's that psychological horror, which is really gripping. So you were expecting more of a slasher. You were expecting more kills, like violent kills, even though it was a TV movie.
Or like seeing like the dismembered like body or something. Like not all of it, but just some parts or something. But I guess obviously like made for TV, you can't really put that on. And that's fine, because I think, like you just said, it does kind of let your imagination do the work for you, which is a rare case these days.
Yeah, it was like a really, I don't know. I feel like this time, which like in horror movie land, like the early 90s were kind of like, people often talk about like how the 80s were like the golden age of horror in a lot of ways. And the 90s kind of like trickled off or like got weird, or they were just trying to like the horror offerings of the 90s weren't so strong. Like where's your Friday the 13th? Where's your Nightmare on Elm Street? And stuff like that. I feel like there were a lot of Stephen King offerings in the 90s that were sort of mixed. And I was going to say, like, this miniseries was like a part of the grand tradition of trying to adapt Stephen King for TV. So they did a TV version of The Stand, which I don't know if you've seen.
Nope.
The Langoliers. I think there was a TV version of Pet Cemetery. There was Salem's Lot that was in the 70s. They've tried to like adapt him again and again, and it's really tricky. So all things being said, I think that Tommy Lee Wallace and the whole crew did a really good job adapting this. So yeah, I was like so excited for you to see it. Yeah, and I assume most people who are listening to this know this movie inside and out. But just to recap, the story revolves around a predatory monster who can transform itself into its prey's worst fears to devour them, which allows it to exploit the phobia of its victims. It mostly takes the humanoid form of Pennywise, and it's described in Wikipedia as an eldritch clown, which I love. I don't know if you're familiar with the works of H.P. Lovecraft at all.
I am not.
Okay, so
Not off the top of my head.
H.P. Lovecraft was an author from the early 1900s. We'll just say like the Edwardian era. He was considered sort of like the grandfather of American horror to a lot of people. Personally, he was not a great guy. He was like a huge racist, and he kind of sucked. But he created.
As most do.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, most men of that era. But yeah, he was not great. He wrote a ton of sort of cosmic horror stories, and he was one of Stephen King's main influences. So it's always like a little town, right? A little sleepy town, and underneath the underbelly, there's this horrible fucking monster. That's where we get like the Cthulhu mythos, like these big, like oopy goopy monsters that come from outer space that terrorize.
Goopy.
It's very oopy goopy.
It's a soupy monster.
So the fact that like that's what Pennywise is, they don't convey that super well in this movie, that he is this eldritch horror. But I love that description. Yeah, you're looking at me, listeners. She's looking at me with big eyes. And we will talk about the ending. We have a lot to go through first.
Yeah. But I think I sent you a picture last night of my reaction.
She sent me, I could not wait till she got to the end of this movie, because I was like, oh boy, this one's a doozy. And we'll get into it later, but the ending of this miniseries is nothing compared to the batshit ending of the book. So we'll get into that.
Let's discuss.
Yeah, but basically, so there's this eldritch clown running around attacking this group of misfit friends, the Lucky Seven. They are the Losers Club, which is just like, oh, it's like such good writing, and these are such good characters. Yeah, like how did you feel as all these characters were being like introduced to you?
I thought all of them were pretty well fleshed out, because in the first part of this movie / miniseries is that they kind of open to like different kids and what their lives are like in the future, but also what their lives were like in the past.
Right.
And so everybody has quite a different upbringing. And I'll say that like I don't think there's really one that didn't seem that well thought out, except for maybe Stan. But
yeah, I agree with that.
Everyone else kind of had a pretty easily understandable storyline. Like it was something that there were like no breadcrumbs, you kind of just like got, okay, she's in an abusive family, or the family suffered from the trauma of losing the youngest kid. and this one grew up as a fat kid. Like there is all these like direct, you know, you relate to a lot of these characters in different ways.
Totally. Did you have like a favorite loser character that you liked?
Of course.
All right, you
you
got to tell me who are your favorites?
Yeah, so I guess my favorites I would say is, and I just need to scroll, so it's Richie, I believe.
Oh, Richie Tozier, sure.
Yeah, Richie Tozier is one of my favorites. I really loved Ben as well. I have mixed feelings about Bev, but I'm glad she's there.
I would love to hear these mixed feelings
about Bev. Yeah. So basically with Bev, obviously you can see that she grew up in an abusive household. Her dad was clearly a psycho and also like seems a little predatory. Like I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'll keep popping in the lore from the books, because in the books they go for the whole sex abuse thing.
Oh no.
I think they do in the newer movies as well, but they again, like a lot of this stuff is softened for TV, so you don't get like that full on trauma for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah. What were your other thoughts about Bev as a character?
I did think that she was obviously needed. Like that, it's nice to have a female character in the group of friends. It's funny that the dad was like, "You're hanging, you're getting poems from these boys, blah blah blah," like smacks her in the face. And then who does she hang out with? Like an entire group of boys. Like that's her only friends,
Yeah.
And then like later in the movie, like, I don't know, she was talking about like, "Oh, I fell in love with all of you." And she's very kissy with everyone. So I'm like, girl, you wildin'.
Okay. I mean, I was going to save this for the end, but I feel like
we can save it.
No. Let's bring it up right now, because I think it's important.
It's a hot take.
It's a hot take. It's not it's just a fact that happens, that in the book. So at the end, when they're trying to defeat Pennywise in the miniseries, like the love for all of the boys is definitely alluded to, and she's smooching up on everybody, especially Ben and Bill. Right. She'll like go. Those are like her two main ones.
Yeah.
And I told you in the book, there's like this very elaborate ritual that they have to do to defeat Pennywise. So basically it's like Pennywise is preying on their childhood fears and like trying to like steal their childhood from them. So they have to like do all these, like, it's like they have to like gather all these like Horcruxes to like defeat it. It's like this very like elaborate, it's like 200 pages too long, to be totally honest. Like he's really wilding out in this book, fueled by cocaine.
He's skiing the slopes.
Stephen King was out skiing the slopes in the early 80s trying to get this book done. And then he was like, so how do we get these children to like separate themselves from their childhood, at the end of like the childhood part when they're trying to defeat this eldritch clown? They're like, what thing can we do when we're in the sewers so that like it doesn't get us? Oh, we have to become not children. How do we do that? We're all going to have sex with each other.
No.
Yes.
No. Oh my God.
They have a kid orgy. It is in the book.
What the fuck? This is not meant for ABC.
This is, well, they didn't put that into the miniseries. They did not put that into the remake movies either. So good for them. But that's like one of the, I mean, if all you have to do is Google Stephen King kid orgy, it comes up again and again. He's like defended it online, and he was just like, look, I was on a lot of cocaine and I thought this is a good idea to put in this kid orgy. And then they're all supposed to be like 12, right? Like 12 or 13. Yeah, the whole thing is like,
shit.
Yeah, Bev is supposed to be like, here, let me take your boyhood from you, and now we're all going to be
she
like...
bones every single one of them?
She bones every single one.
Bev is she honing it up, man. Like, it tells you, like, nature versus nurture. Like, if her dad didn't put so much pressure on her to not be a slut, maybe she wouldn't have decided to have a orgy with all of her friends.
I just want to know, like, what was going on in Stephen King's coke-addled mind when he was just like, you know what, this is a good idea. And I will put this on paper and I will send this to my editor. It's crazy. It's very graphic in the book. It's like the whole like end part, which is like in the book, it like flops back and forth between the childhood part. Like it's flashbacking constantly
in the book as well.
Yeah. It's constantly flashbacking. So you'll go like, I feel like in the miniseries, like the first chunk is like all kids, and it's
a flashback though, because they like show like, okay, here's, you know, like specifically with Ben, like in his dope NYC artist loft, by the way. Love the Eames chair and that.
Oh, work. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Ben's really living, honestly. Ben's doing well for himself. He is basically reminiscing. He's talking to his like date for the night from the award show he went to, or like whatever ceremony for architecture. And he's like, oh yeah, I was a fat kid. I was a big fat fatty. And then like it throws back to where he's getting beat up and like, you know, goes into his childhood more. But it's just like, and I think this is another thing that I know it's, we bring it up as we go, obviously, but it's like,
sure.
It just seemed like with all of these flashbacks that, I don't know, it was pretty consistent, the storytelling, but I just kind of like was getting lost in the sauce a little bit.
Oh, was it confusing?
A little bit. I mean, like I could identify who was who and so on and so forth. I guess they're trying to like lay the seeds. So like when the characters do come back, you understand who everybody is and like the trauma that they experience. But I was kind of like, who is that? Like, thankfully they were, you know, the director, he was able to be like, yeah, we're going to throw a lot of lines where you're saying the person's name over and over. That way you don't realize, because I'm like, who's like Stan and Richie could have been interchangeable. I couldn't, you know, tell the difference between them as adults. Or
as adults, like you couldn't tell the difference between Harry Anderson and Richard Masur, the actors?
Well, I did, but it was just like, you know, as I was watching the scenes roll up to where like, okay, like one's doing the comedy show. And I was like, okay, who is this? You know, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Richie. And they're like, oh, Richie, great, good job, Richie, blah blah blah, Richie. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, they do a good job with that. I think some of you haven't seen the documentary yet, and I would suggest that you watch it. You get a little more backstory on how like the adult actors worked with the kid actors. And it was very cool. They got to like meet and hang out. They all got to meet and hang out with each other. And they realized that like some of the kid actors were more of a physical match to the adult actors. They did all these cool little acting exercises where they would be like, okay, like Ben's going to like pull on his cheek or his ear and anxiety. Yeah. Like they have these little anxious tells as like characters, stuff, like just stuff like that, and they worked it out within themselves. They're like, okay, Richard Thomas, who plays grown-up Bill with the really nasty ponytail
and the mole,
that's Richard Thomas's. You know Richard Thomas, the actor, right, who played grown-up Bill? Do you recognize him?
I recognize him from somewhere, but I can't pinpoint it. I'm not the best with actors. I didn't get that gift in the family.
It's okay. Do you remember watching the Waltons when we were kids?
No.
Okay, so I watched the Waltons, and he was like the oldest son on the Waltons. He's done like a ton of stuff, but yeah, his like that mole is like his signature. For some reason, they gave him a really nasty ponytail.
I wore a low pony for our listeners today.
Yeah,
I know you can't see it, but I am feeling it. I'm like, let me do my best, Bill.
She's got her Bill ponytail on right now. No, it looks good on you. On him, it was like, Bill, you got to cut that thing off.
Cut that thing off. I was also kind of okay. So like, I kind of had a thought bubble when I was talking about going back and forth between the two. But it's like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, these kids really forgot all of this trauma. They really don't remember any of their friends. Like, I think Bill was married to a woman who's Audra. And
her name's Audra, correct, played by Olivia Hussey. Do you know who Olivia Hussey is?
No, but I just know that I couldn't tell where her accent was from. That was really confusing.
I think Olivia Hussey is British. She's passed away now, but she was in Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. She was in Black Christmas. She was like in a ton of stuff. And I think she's trying to be
like, she sounds like almost like a weird South African, but also like Frenchy. And then like, I don't know. It's bad.
I'm looking it up, Olivia Hussey, where she's British. Oh, you know what? That's a great call with the accent. She's British and Argentinian.
Oh.
So
Okay.
she was the daughter of an Argentinian tango singer. I had no idea. So maybe that's where like
it's like a British Spanish like weird mix. Like it's not quite computing when I was listening to it. But you know whose accent work was wonderful in this movie was Tim Curry's.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, you didn't know he was British at all.
No, hey kids, how you doing? I thought it was hilarious. I love the East Coaster, like East Coast cruster, creepy clown. Hey, you want a balloon, Georgie?
Yeah, he knocks it out of the park. I mean, we can just say that we're talking about our favorite characters. It's got to be
characters. Pennywise.
Pennywise,
Sure.
he's so the guy. He's the guy. It is a performance of a lifetime. I don't know if he was nominated for anything. He is just a powerhouse, and I know a lot about the pre-production lore. Like they auditioned so many people for this role. I think they were going to get Roddy McDowell. They were going to get like they had like a bunch of like older British actors try out for this, and they just couldn't land on anybody. And then I think the casting director saw Rocky Horror, the famous like Frankenfurter role, where he's also sort of wearing like a clown makeup, and they were like, yeah, like this is the guy. So they brought him in, and originally like Pennywise was supposed to have like heavy prosthetics on, kind of like how he had in Legend. And he was like, and he was like, no, he was so traumatized by Legend. He's like, please, no more prosthetics. Like, don't do this. Cause they were going to give him like a big, huge nose and a big chin. And apparently this is the story that, you know, once he was cast and they were taking him through makeup tests, he was basically like, look, I'm an actor. Please let me act. Like I can do this. I can make this guy scary. I don't need heavy appliances on my face. Like I will give it to you. And you know what? He fucking did.
He sure did.
He fucking served.
I loved like his introduction behind like he's gonna murder the little girl or something, and he's out from the sewers. So I thought that was interesting. I thought he only remained in the sewer.
Oh, good point. Yeah, I never thought about that.
So he was like in the laundry, like on the line, and he peeked out between like the sheets, and the little girl's looking at him like, oh, what's that? You know, I think it's really endearing, honestly. Like, I know that he's supposed to be stranger danger, but I was like, oh, he's actually kind of charming. And I know probably it's because it's Tim Curry underneath. So I'm like, oh yeah, I love him. But then like once he starts talking about the balloons and just like we'll keep talking about how things float and it kind of starts to give you the creeps, and then he does the bite, like his teeth, where probably the most scary part of this film is the teeth, the gnarly looking fang mouth, open mouth. I can't.
Did you love his dental work?
I did not. Maybe that's when I was like, oh, he is supposed to be scary after all. No, I did not like his dental work. I was terrified of the teeth.
He does such a good job. I know as a vocal inspiration, talking about his voice, he was trying to do sort of like an old timey carnival barker voice, which is kind of like getting into his lore a little bit. Like he's like the circus clown who used to come through town. Like that's how he would lure children, right? He would take on this form of a clown, and that's how he would get the children to eat them, to get their souls. And you got like the whole Pennywise lore too. Like he returns to the town every 27 years. And that's like, it's like a consistent thing. So like when the losers are all together, they're like,
is it 27 or 30?
Okay. So it is 27 in the book. I think in the miniseries, I looked this up so I could answer this correctly. I think the child flashback stuff is set in 1960, and then it's 1990 for the adults, and that would be 30 years, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think they just make it like a clean 30, and like, yeah, the adults are all supposed to be like in their 40s. Yeah. In the book, it's 27. I think, it's supposed to be like this repeating pattern that happens in the town of Derry. And really it's like the whole town of Derry that is haunted. And I think they touch on that a little bit in the miniseries too, how like the adults are like sort of complicit
Yeah.
in it, and like the teachers don't want to hear about it, and the neighbors like turn their eyes away.
That, like abuse and stuff. Yeah. They seem like they're not with it. I did notice too while I was on HBO where I watched the miniseries, they are going to have an actual series come out pretty soon called Dairy.
Yes. I'm sure I'll watch it because I'll watch anything horror, even if it's bad.
You gotta dip your toes in, see what it's all about.
It's usually with most new horror stuff, I'll watch it for like 10 minutes and I'll be like, this looks fucking terrible. Like where like everything just looks like, again, so CGI'd out, so like overblown. Like, I don't know. I'm like, who knows how to light film anymore? Come on.
Nobody.
That's what I want.
The students, and then they get hired by the production groups and they're like, no, we're going to do it this way. And you're like, well, why did I go to school?
Exactly. Because people, you got to crank out that content.
Right.
Don't we know that now? We gotta keep cranking out content for our fans. So
we are aware now.
So they're satiated. So yeah, we got all the kids. The clown Pennywise presents himself to them individually as their worst fears. So we get to see that, like, Richie's scared of the Wolf Man, and
yes, he is.
Eddie's scared of showers.
Ew. Yeah, it's like weird. The teacher or the hall monitor stops him. He's like, hey, kid, you haven't showered, have you? And it's like, oh, like, between the whole crowd of kids coming through, how'd you pick that one out, you know?
It's the PE teacher who says that because his mom, Eddie's mom, is like, don't you be showering with those other boys, you're going to get germs. And like that whole dynamic is like so fucked up. And it's definitely like a Munchausen's by proxy kind of thing.
I wrote that in my notes.
Yes.
Like he is Gypsy Rose.
Eddie is Gypsy Rose. Yeah. And Eddie is such, maybe one of my favorite characters for me, because you were talking about nature versus nurture. And I was like, his mom just like fucked him up beyond belief.
Yeah, she did.
And in the books, I feel like Stephen King didn't know he was writing a gay coded character.
Oh, yeah. I was like, he's gay, right?
He's gay. I think
I'm sorry, he's actually demisexual.
He's a little sapiosexual. Mm-hmm. Of course, they don't touch on that in the miniseries. In the remakes, I did like this about the remakes, that they don't allude, but they actually discuss like an actual love connection between Richie and Eddie. Which
really?
Which I think is very, I think in the books is present. But again, I don't think that like Stephen King was out here consciously writing gay characters. It's like, oh, we have like two male characters who like pick on each other a lot, you know, and like wrestle with each other and like call each other names. I'm like, what is that? You know, like a lot of like, if you're in a society that doesn't like allow homosexuality as an option, it comes out in so many different ways.
It does, yeah.
Especially in that era. Like, how would you even know that like you loved your friend? How would you even know how to like explore those feelings? So I think that dynamic is so interesting. Yeah, they all get to face the clown. I'm trying to think of like other ones that are scary. Oh, the sink scene with Beverly is like that's one of the scariest scenes for me, even now, because it's like, I feel like as girls, we all grow up with bathroom trauma.
Sure.
And I was like, good for you, Stephen King, for like tapping into the fears of like a prepubescent girl.
Right.
Like, just like, you know, blood in the sink, you know, dad trauma, not having people believe you, just sort of like feeling like you're hysterical and crazy. But yeah, like were there any like scary kid moments for you as you were watching like the first part, or things that were relatable, or you're like, ooh, that got me?
Let's see. It was so dense, you know, it was just a lot, but a couple things, and this wasn't like something that scared me in particular. I didn't really think Ben was that fat, obviously, like in
I love that's what you're landing on. Like,
because I grew up a fat kid, you know, so like that would be the most relatable trauma for me potentially. But at the same time, like because I'm also very tall, I find that a lot of people don't want to like upset the very tall, large girl because I will crush you.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
why I was like, this bully who's picking on Ben, I'm like, you better watch out. This kid's like a linebacker. He'll fucking pummel you. And he does at a point in the movie. So it was like something like, okay, that I understand. Obviously, it's trauma for him growing up in the 90s when everyone was like eating salads like all the time. Like it was like the trend of low fat everything and so on and so forth. So he's all like, still like bringing this up even when he's with his date, like I was a fat kid, oh you wouldn't believe, like
Oh, you're
so
talking
hung up on
about
his body
adult.
image.
Yeah.
Adult Ben and also like young Ben. I would say the scariest obviously for me was Beverly as a woman, like having
Sure.
and what you've just told me with the sexual abuse story, that's probably the most frightening, especially being that young. And she has, the overbearing parent in a different way than Eddie had. So it's like two different ends of the spectrum on that. As far as like any other, I mean, obviously with that, now I'm blanking. Is it Mike?
Mike, the black kid.
Well, yeah, obviously then growing up as, a different race in the 60s when people are starting to integrate and like the bully's like, hey, you live on my block now and throws that N-word out there.
Right.
So that's definitely something all of them had their own fears. I'd say Ben it would be the least fearful of the group. And then the other trauma just kind of like, it all unfolds. But Bev for me is definitely number one.
I think Ben's trauma, like there's
I'm sorry, Bev was number one. Ben is like the least, but I do love him the most.
Right. Ben's a great character. Ben in the books is awesome. I think in terms of his like Pennywise trauma, he's shown his dead dad. And that's a pretty early scene. Like he sees him in that like creepy swamp area, which is like a place you can actually go. Apparently this whole thing was shot in Vancouver, by the way. So it's like, it's funny. I was going to bring that up earlier with the production stuff, but yeah, it's got like, it definitely, it has a Twin Peaks vibe too, because it was shot in a similar area. It's all like Pacific Northwest. It's like Practical Magic or like any of these places where that's like, we need a lot of space and we need some trees and it's too expensive. Like we can't shoot in Massachusetts or Maine. Like I think shooting in Maine would have been like a logistical nightmare because it's like, I don't know if they would be able to get like production crews out there.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever. But yeah. And yeah, Ben is just like, yeah, that whole opening scene where it's like, yeah, he's poor. He's fat. And I think going back to that, like it was so rare to have like to be like a bigger kid. It like you would have stuck out like a sore thumb, obviously like a lot of kids look different now. Yeah, it would have been like very strange. And like Henry Bowers, the bully, would have picked him out because it would have been so rare or like, you had like one fat kid you could pick on. I like with the casting of Henry Bowers in this, because I feel like most bullies are depicted as like, big sort of bully, like buzz cut, sort of like a Biff Tannen, like from Back to the Future kind of character. And Henry Bowers, he was a Canadian actor. He did it so good. He was just kind of like a little skinny guy, but he was so menacing. And
he fucking sucked. I hated that.
I hated that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he did his job. It was funny in the documentary, which I do suggest most people watch, about the making of this miniseries. The actor was like so anxious about like saying racial slurs on camera. Like afterwards he would like apologize to the actress. He's like, I'm so sorry, I have to say this. Like, I just thought that was very sweet. Yeah, he does a great job. All of the, did you recognize one of the greaser bullies? The kid who plays Belch, he was in another childhood movie that we've already watched. This is a very like obscure pull, so I'm not expecting you to know this, but I just wondered
I can't even begin.
So the actor who plays the bully Belch, and that's his name because he burps in everybody's face.
Sure, yeah.
He was also one of the bullies in The Neverending Story, who threw Bastion in the trash can. So he was just
and filmed in Vancouver.
And filmed in Vancouver. Thank you. Yeah, they're like, you know what? We're in Vancouver. We need like a shitty kid. Let's get this guy.
He was pretty shitty. Yeah.
So that's like pretty much the first part. We get introduced to everyone in the Losers Club. We confront all of their individual traumas.
Oh, I have one more note that I wanted to say in the very beginning. So like when Georgie kisses his brother Bill, and Bill's like, ew, you've got cooties, Georgie. It's like, Bill, you're the one with COVID. You know, what kind of cooties are you talking about right now? Like, you're the one who's sick in bed.
Right. I don't know. It's like there's just like a weird uncomfortability with like homosexuality in men of that generation. Like you can't even kiss your brother. You can't even like hug your dad.
Right. And Georgie is so cute though. He was really such a cute little kid.
He was adorable. Yeah, no, I think that actor did a great job. And he was just like a very endearing, like not annoying kid actor. Yeah, it sucks when he gets his whole arm bit off by a sewer cloud. That really blows. And the way they describe it, the way they describe it in the book is like horrific too. He pulls no punches. It's just like this little kid's body, like in the gutter, bleeding out everywhere. Yeah, that you don't
have to read the book.
I mean, if this gets you to read this book, which our listeners can't see, I'm holding up this 1,000-page book. I mean, when you come visit, you can totally borrow it, and you have more practice reading like big books now. I would say go for it. It is. I'm looking at the final page count. It is 1,153 pages.
Wow.
And it's funny, in the back it says there's like a little prologue, I guess. Was that what you call
epilogue?
It? Like the epilogue? Yes, that's it. It says this book was begun in Bangor, Maine, September 9th, 1981, and completed in Bangor, Maine, December 28th, 1985. So yeah, it took him like a solid 4 years on cocaine. Not bad.
It's a lot though. A lot of cocaine.
It's yeah. Stephen King has said publicly, like, he does not remember writing parts of this book. I think he wrote Maximum Overdrive. It was called, the short story was called Cars, and it was turned into the movie Maximum Overdrive. He does not remember that at all. Like, he straight up wrote a book and has no recollection to it.
Word. It's done.
So I feel like this movie, which talks a lot about like trauma and memory, like clearly this is a book that's about memory. I think maybe that was just his way of like working through it too, because there was probably like huge chunks of his life he also could not recall. And it's like,
oh yeah, true.
The trauma of, you had this terrible thing happen to you when you were a kid.
And then apparently a lot of terrible things happen to you. Like, everybody's just constantly going through terrible things in the book, at least. It really gets into like the stories of ourselves that like we want to remember. And by the time they get to adult, they get to like present day or 1990, they have to like really start recollecting all these things. They have to basically like remember their childhood so they can defeat this childhood trauma. Like I guess that's the lesson. Mm-hmm. You can't run away from your past. Yeah. What could you tell, like sort of in the middle of the movie, like where it's split from like part 1 to part 2? I think so. I think it's where the kids all like circle up at the, like, after leaving the sewer might have been it, but then like it flashes to Stan in Georgia with his wife, and then he commits suicide in the tub, which like on, of course, ABC, it shows like he cut off his fingers. Cut off his fingers? It's what it looks like. Yeah, like it looks like he just like cut off his fingers, and like in the tub he wrote it with the blood. But like when they talk over the phone, when Mike talks to his wife over the phone, he apparently slit his wrists. See that? He slit his wrists. I think it's just the way that his hand is hanging might look like maybe. I think his fingers were just curled. He definitely slits his wrist in the book and like the movie too. And like before he dies, he writes it on the wall, which is like drama queen. Come on now, Stan. Think so this is kind of still in part 1, but like when they're in the sewer initially and like Stan is like repeating like his Boy Scout mantra and stuff, I was kind of like, I go, did Stan grow up to be MAGA? Oh my God.
Stan is such an interesting character. And I feel like of all the Losers Club, he gets the least amount of screen time. In the book, he definitely gets more. I don't know, like, why his role was so diminished. They do talk about, like, he likes order. He likes Boy Scouts. He is friends with Richie. He's scared of this creepy old house. And there's the mummy in it. And that was his worst fear, was the mummy. But you definitely get to know him the least. So I feel like when he does commit suicide in the miniseries, there's not as much emotional impact because you don't really know him.
Yeah, I didn't really
much.
like get to know him that well. So I was just like, I don't know. I just assumed, I was like, he seems like he's either a cop or he's like MAGA living in Georgia with his wife. And,
Right. Yeah, no,
he's like, I'm a horn dog, that's what he says.
Yeah, he's like the Jewish kid, right? So like that's his whole thing, and people pick on him because he's Jewish.
I guess I didn't quite get that so much in this. I know Richie mentioned it about him or something like that, and like when they first introduced themselves to the kids.
Yeah, like he's Jewish. He's Jewish. He's really funny. Like, so like it's an inherent
I totally
quality.
missed. Yeah, I didn't even associate that with him, honestly, because he had such little, like, so few screen time minutes.
Yeah, in the movie remakes, I keep bringing them up, but just like you can know how they interpreted that differently. They actually show him in a synagogue, like he's doing like a whole bar mitzvah moment. So they definitely play up the Jewishness more, which I think is cool, and like how weird that would be in like a mostly Christian town.
Yeah,
and in Maine, yeah, like it's just you would definitely feel like an outcast. So that's the one thing about the miniseries. And then they have, I think too, like the actor who they have playing adult Stan, Richard Masur, who was like a big, I don't know if you recognized him. He was like a big TV actor guy. The thing about all these adult actors who they got to play the adult losers, they were all like a very deliberate casting because this was going to be a TV miniseries. All of these actors were like huge on TV.
Okay.
Back then.
I think I remember who, like, I recognize Ben's adult face.
John Ritter.
Stuff. Yeah.
You know who John Ritter is, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Like Three's Company and is like in a ton of stuff. Yeah. He was, of course, like super well known. Everybody else was like on a TV show, on a soap opera. So like, yeah, maybe you don't recognize this, like, you wouldn't know the specific show, but like they'd have a familiar face.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like the guy.
I haven't seen Three's Company in forever. I feel like I watched that when I was like 10.
Right. So yeah, but like it's so funny how like that buries itself in your brain. It's like, oh right, John Ritter. He just has that like likable kind of face. Yeah, he's definitely like an adult actor who didn't look much like his child actor character, but you know what? They made it work.
Yeah, they were like, hey, it's Ben. It's Ben, like multiple times, everyone's name's repeated. So I'm like, cool, this is good for my ADHD. Like,
right. Yeah, he's just like, oh, that's who it is. Yeah, I love. Yeah, did anybody like? I don't know. We're talking a lot about stuff we like because you liked this movie, and that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, were there any like moments or like actors or like things that like flopped for you on this?
Let's see. Things that flopped. Honestly, not too many.
Wow.
This was a pretty stellar cinema. You're like waving your hands in there. Yay.
That's another win for me.
Win. I think it's a classic for me, much like Jaws will be a classic for me now. I found that it was very compelling. I think the parts that made me, and I know obviously it has to do with like, it's all based on the book and all these different things, but like at the end, not like right at the end, but like in the second half, when Bev's like full on open mouth kissing Bill, and like, isn't he married? Like, she just straight up lets it rip on him, like while they're at the Chinese restaurant, and I'm like, girl,
she is she's ready to fuck.
Yeah, she's DTF. I think I put that in there. I put Bev is horny for everyone. Like she's like, oh, it's Richie, and then she's like, oh, it's Bill. Like just like so bad. I'm like, girl, rein it in. We just met. Like we're all seeing each other again for the first time. You're like the first thing you do is open mouth kiss this man.
This married man. Yeah. It's
married man with a ponytail.
It's very charged. They definitely play up that whole, I think, again, because they couldn't go as full on as they did in the book. Because I think if you found that part gross, you will find the book even grosser, even more.
She probably bones everybody again just for fun.
No. I mean, she ends up with Ben in the end because Bill is married. Yeah, I think what they really try to convey is that, like, there's a love between all of the losers and the Lucky Seven. There's like a strong love, but this is probably a lot of Stephen King's biases. Like for him, maybe the character of Bev, it's sort of like the old adage, like, can a straight man and a straight woman be friends? Like actual real friends, sort of like a Harry Met Sally kind of situation. It's like, like it can't, like that's the whole question they present in that movie as well. It's like, can a straight man and a straight woman be friends with each other and not have sex? And I think to him, even though I do love Bev as a character and I find like her whole story super compelling, just the sexualization of like the one female character, it has a lot. It's very loaded. That's all I'll say. Yeah. It's like, okay, she's just sort of here to like sometimes be like the role of like a mother, a sister, a sex object, like how are women portrayed in media? Yeah, it's weird. It's
complicated.
It's complicated. There's a lot to unpack. And
I love that she's like a dead shot though, with like her slingshot, that she's like armed and ready to defend these men. I'm like, that's great.
He makes her like a very strong character. It's like, when they're trying to figure out who's the best slingshotter, which is such a funny sequence. It's like, well, like, why would you pick this of all things? Like, couldn't you have gone out and gotten like a BB rifle or something? Like, why are we slingshotting this? Right.
I mean, you're in Maine. Aren't there like bears and stuff? And like,
Yeah, it should be easy to go to like a gun store and get a gun.
Maybe not as like a 10 or 12-year-old, hopefully, but it was the 60s. It was a different time.
Somebody's dad got a gun.
You can just write a note and say, like, my dad said I need a double action, this and that, like Ruger,
Sure. Yep.
Here's the money.
Here's the money. I don't know. Yeah, I just thought that was so funny, that whole scene where she's doing practice with the bottles at the garbage dam that they all build. And they're like it's supposed to be Bev, like she's the one, so they really like, I don't know, they make her sort of like this very special girl character who like gets sexually bothered a lot, but also.
And then like she's sitting with Ben while they're talking about something, like I think at the inn or wherever they're staying. And like he's like sitting behind her with his like legs around her shoulders essentially, and he's got her head in his hands and she's like rolling it around, all like putting her mouth all over it, and I'm just like, wow, she's really going for it. Like she's horny.
Yeah, she's like the drunk girl at a party, and it's like, oh yeah, let me give you a back massage, and it's like you don't need to be doing this. You don't need to. This is, I don't know. I don't want to give Bev a hard time. This is how she was written, but the choices in the miniseries, when she just like meets the guys at the Chinese restaurant in the beginning of part 2 before all the shit goes down, and she's instantly DTF. That's a choice. So they have a good dinner. They have a good dinner without Stan, but of course, like it turns sour because they get these gross ass fortune cookies, which are like a little. Yeah. Well, how did you feel about that fun little part?
I need to know which fortune cookie is like your most creepy. Like, which one did you like the least?
That's so great you asked that, because I was talking about the other day when we were rewatching this. I know the eyeball was kind of cool. I was like, oh, cool, little fortune cookie eyeball.
It's just Volo's eye from Baldur's Gate 3.
It's Volo's eye. Yeah, it's just a little spare eye you can just use if you need it. I think for me, honestly, the roach is the grossest, because that's
Same.
like, okay.
I have a inherent like deep-seated fear of like a cockroach.
Right.
It's not great. So like when I do see them, I get the heebie-jeebies. And then, but I can handle a spider, the little like young chicken or whatever it was. Like,
it's like
whatever.
a bird fetus. Yeah.
I'm like, this is Chinese restaurant. Like they eat like the century egg and stuff where.
Oh
like,
yeah. You got the little baby in there anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. That's
it's
like a
all
delicacy.
Good.
So
Delicious.
like, that's just normal. Yeah. And then like the other creepy bugs that come out. Yeah. It's funny because I actually clocked and I looked it up last night. The waitress or like the owner of the restaurant, she is basically in a lot of movies.
Oh, I didn't even clock
which
that.
She was in Happy Gilmore in the beginning of the first Happy Gilmore, like the original. Let's not address the remake. She was the one that Happy ends up having, like she sleeps over at his house and she's like, hey, don't you want breakfast? She's like wearing his hockey jersey or something. I think I know her from somewhere.
Wow, I see. And as somebody who's never watched the original Happy Gilmore, this is where our generational divide starts.
Maybe we'll do a pod about that then. One movie that you haven't seen.
Right. Yeah, we'll do a special. We'll do like a Christmas special where you make me watch Happy Gilmore and That's can give you, I don't know. All I know about Happy Gilmore is that he plays hockey, or he was a hockey player and he plays golf.
That's pretty much the whole movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
I love that you picked that actress out.
And she's Chinese Canadian, I believe. And she also worked as a stewardess before being an actress. And I was like, oh, she's been in a lot of movies, especially in the 80s and 90s. So.
Yeah, they used a lot of Canadian actors because, like I said, it was shot in Canada. So I think that once they had like their main cast, they filled out a lot of the roles with Canadian actors and actresses. Like the actress who plays young Bev, she is a pretty well-known young Canadian actress. She was in the movie Ginger Snaps, which I don't know if you've seen.
I have not seen.
That's great girl horror right there. About
throw it on the list.
We're gonna throw it on it's something that I watch like in young adulthood, but I feel like it's good. It's about women and menstruation. So
I want to talk about something though.
Yeah, I'd love
on the
to
topic of gross outs and creepy things.
Yes.
Like what are some scenes that you can recall as being like the most horrific or gross, or the things that really stood out for you? Because I have a few and I want to know if we match up on those.
That's such a great question. I think so. Number one for me is the blood sink scene.
Okay.
Definitely gross, because anything with like excessive amounts of blood. Also, like the terror of not being believed, like having her dad come out and being like, what happened, Bevy? And she's like, she has to make up a lie on the spot so quick because she knows if like she says what she thinks is happening, she's gonna get like beat by her dad.
Right.
So yeah, that's super scary for me. I'm trying to think of like specific scary clown moments. Anything where he's showing his teeth is scary.
I think when Eddie sprays him with the inhaler and like it's like acid face clown. That was creepy.
You were scared with this is battery acid, you slime.
Right. I was very scared. I was like, oh no, he's melting. And it's like
that's an oopy goopy moment.
Another one for me was when Bev returns to her old childhood home.
Oh, yes. That's my favorite scene.
And the lady invites her in for some tea. And she's like, okay, creepy lady, let's just come on in and see my old trauma house. And then, she's in the bathroom. And then she comes out and there she is serving her some tea. And it just gets a little creepy. Like the voice starts changing and she gets all melty. And oh God, I get the chills right now on my legs.
It's so well done. It's so like when they did the remake, they completely fucked that scene up because they did like too much. In the book, it's a whole chapter. It's super like, I mean, it's like the creep of the tension is so slow.
They built it so well in the movie.
It's like a masterclass in psychological horror. I think they do it pretty well in the miniseries where it's just like little things like she's like, oh, like, come on down, dear. And then like she's serving the tea and you see like her teeth are kind of fucked up. And you're just like, why?
Like,
what?
oh.
Like, yeah. And you're just like, in the book, she's like, they were white, right? They were white teeth when she answered the door. And you were like, oh, look at her nice teeth. You remembered that. So it's like, there's a lot of like internal monologue with Beverly trying to be like, it's like a classic like woman in a scary situation and you try to like talk yourself out of it, and
she's second guessing herself.
She's second guessing herself. She's trying to be polite. She's like, this couldn't possibly be true. And then this hag witch who is, you know, ends up being Pennywise is doing all this creepy shit, like slurping up her tea really fast, like starting to get like this crazy hag voice. In the book, they make it so like she goes to her old place and it seems normal at first. And then basically it turns into the gingerbread house from Hansel and Gretel.
Oh.
And like everything turns to candy on the inside. Like and like she's the witch who wants to like put her in the oven. But it's actually her dad. Yeah, that is probably one of the scariest scenes. I'm trying to think of any other ones.
I had a jump scare though with when Ben returns to Derry and he goes down to the ravine and he is like looking out and he sees like visions and stuff, but then like there's a homeless guy all of a sudden.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that homeless
guy, man.
That homeless guy, they don't really get into it, but in the book, they talk about
more.
Yeah, he's like sort of like the local vagrant guy. I think he's described as like a leper. And he has like a big part in Eddie's story because that's like Eddie's worst fear is like becoming a leper or having some kind of a skin disease.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they just like pop him in there to like jump scare Ben. That scene when Ben is leaving the old dam part and you see Pennywise on the side of the road waving to him. That part always creeps me out. I like it when he's like really happy and then his face changes like really quickly, like really like accusing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, Tim Curry is really doing the most. I feel like a lot of his scenes are really comedic too.
Yeah.
Like in the library scene with all the exploding balloons.
You're all too old to stop me.
Yeah. No, he's just having the most fun. And yeah, going back to Tim Curry, I just want to say, like, I think it's hilarious because they talk about it in the documentary, but it's like a well-known fact that like he did not want to socialize with the kids at all in real life. Like Tim Curry was like, I don't want these kids to get to know me. I don't think he was mean to them.
Well, like just to like amp up the fear in the film, like for the sake of filming.
Right. He always was kind of like hanging out just by his trailer and like smoking. And like the actress who played young Beverly in the miniseries was like, yeah, no, he would just like, if we were like to look at him from a distance, he would just like make faces at us, like to try to scare the kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's great. It's like real method acting because he didn't want to get all buddy with them.
Right.
And so when
in the remake that must not be named, you know,
we've mentioned it a couple times.
I know we have to because it's so relevant, but it's like, but Bill was apparently like really friendly with the kids.
Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, he was like super friendly with the kids. And I think it's like, I don't know, like the whole thing was just so cartoony anyway. Like a lot of times when you see Pennywise, there's like this weird, like Tim Burton-esque kind of cartoony. It's just too much. And at the end of the remake movies, he basically turns into this huge spider clown, this enormous spider clown that is like all CGI'd. And I do give them credit for sort of creating like a big bad at the end. Which is not at all like how they do it in the miniseries. And I guess we can just get right into it because all the adults have to like figure out their childhood trauma. They track down, they realize they have to go defeat Pennywise in his lair like an old dragon. And they do that even though their old bully Henry Bowers like comes back for a second and tries to complicate stuff for him. But
I can't believe the insane asylum plot twist, you know?
And that's also in the book and it's pretty irrelevant. And I don't like how they make Henry so weak. And like, it's almost like it doesn't matter. I guess he's just there to
Well, he was traumatized from seeing the magical light, that sucks the kids' souls, it's just like the light in the beginning, and his hair turns white and he goes instantly like insane after seeing it, and they put him in the asylum.
Right. And I think that's like the closest they ever come to insinuating like what a cosmic horror Pennywise is. He's not a clown. He can take the form of a clown, but he's actually like this interdimensional, like evil being. I think it's interesting. I don't think that they address this anywhere, but like Derry in the book, they talk about how Derry, like, think of the name Derry. How, like, what does that sound like? What nationality does that sound like to you?
Well, it sounds Irish. And the fact that there was an Irish cop kind of made me laugh, because I'm like, wow, now we're really in Derry,
Right. Yeah. So, well, that was the thing. Like, it was supposed to be like the town was created by like Irish immigrants. There was like a big Irish immigrant population. So what do? You name your new town after your old town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because the monster that Pennywise is very much is like an actual mythological figure from Ireland called a boggart, which comes up in Harry Potter. I don't know if you remember this part, right? It like takes on whatever your worst fear is. So I don't know if like Stephen King was inspired by Irish mythology. That's a really cool part that I feel like people don't discuss. It's like, yeah, what is the scariest thing for you? It will turn into that. So what is the only way you can defeat that? With your Patronus charm or whatever, like what is the thing that makes you feel good,
or
right?
Brave,
or brave, right? And so they talk about that in the in the end. They're like, I don't know, it's sort of weird because they're missing a couple of the members. Like Stan is dead and Mike is in the hospital because he's been stabbed.
He got stabbed. The hospital has carpet too, by the way. Let's bring that up really quick.
I love the things you notice. I did not notice that at all.
There's carpet all through the hospital. Someone's like wheeling their chair around. I'm like, that is just not sanitary, No,
you're going to get MRSA all up and everywhere.
That's how everyone gets MRSA at the club.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like the adult climax is like really, I don't know, there's sort of like an anticlimactic quality to it. Mm-hmm. Like Richie doesn't want to be there. Eddie's freaking out. Stan's dead. Mike's in the hospital.
Bev's horny.
Bill and Ben want to fuck. There's so many B names, right? Like,
yeah.
Bill, Ben, and Bev, like, all just need to have a threesome already and get it over with.
Yeah, really, though.
Just get it out of your system. But yeah, they're like, they have these two like old silver earrings, which like, I don't know why silver bullets work on a clown. He's not a werewolf.
Right.
I forget, like, in the book, if they get it. Is it because they believe they're going to work? It's like the inhaler thing, right? Like, this is battery acid, you slime. Like, it's not really battery acid, but in the moment he believed it. So it's all about like
what you believe.
So yeah, what were your feelings about the climax of the movie with the adults defeating the Pennywise monster?
I have so many thoughts, actually.
I'd love to hear.
So obviously they get down into the sewer system again. They kind of end up where they left off in the beginning, where Bill, Bev, everyone kind of like confronts their demons in a way. So like Bill starts to see his brother Georgie again, and they all have to like link hands and say like, hey, that's not Georgie, right? Like, you're just imagining it. Like, you have to defeat it. So they get to a point where like Pennywise doesn't materialize like how he did as like a full-on clown. Like, he's just like in like a little image in the corner. Like, they look up and they can see him.
Yeah, like a little hologram clown.
Yeah, they're like, show yourselves. And I don't know if that's just a part of being an adult. You don't see the full clown like you did when you were a kid. But like, it's like almost like he's not quite there. So they're like, oh, let's just go down this tunnel. And like Georgie's little boat leads them to the back where there's a small creepy door. And I'm like, okay, that's not very long of a path. We could have just checked that out earlier. That's fine.
You're like, let's go through this baby skull door.
They see skulls and bones and stuff. And, they're about to go in this door. And Eddie just feels the need to stop and tell everyone that he's a virgin. And that I say he's demisexual because he said that he cannot be with someone he doesn't love. But then he's like, oh, I love all of you guys though. So it's like, okay, Eddie, like, would you want to have like a 5-way in this, like at this time, at this very moment? Like you're trying to like drop trow and just get ready. And like Richie's like, yeah, I can't help you with that, pal. Like, sorry. And like, why is that setting the scene? I guess because he never admitted it, but like that doesn't really have much to do with his like deep childhood fears of being a leper or being sick or something. I don't know. So I'm like, okay, let's just air this out now, I guess, right? No problem.
Go ahead. You're on a roll.
Then we open the door.
Sure.
And there's this like creepy spider alien looking thing. Obviously, I know it's the 90s, right? So it's like really weird looking. And
because that's how
place. Because it's like the CGI is different, right? Like I get it. I know that it's like practical and all of these things, like the animation, you can tell where there's like the green screen versus.
I don't think it was animated at all. That's a practical spider that they built.
It's like a clay puppet spider or something.
You got to watch after we're done today. You have to watch the documentary. You can see how they made it. It's really interesting. No, it's cool because it's like they're basically like they wanted it to be much bigger, but they were on a TV budget. They did not have a movie budget. So they're just like, this is it, guys. Here's our spider.
And then it's a spider with like glowing abs. Just glowing abs. That's like everyone's distracted by how nice these abs are. They're all like, like looking up at it.
Honestly, work.
And I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with a clown? You know, and I guess I know, like you said, like the bogger, it materializes in different things. I get it. But sure. I'm just like, what? Why was there no spider mentioned before? You know, like in the first half, you see the glowing light go through the tunnels and stuff, and everyone's blinded by the light. But I'm just like, what does the glowing abs have to do with anything? I don't know. I was very conflicted at the end. I was like, this is getting really campy and silly at the end. Like I was compelled this whole entire time. That's when I sent you the picture of my reaction to it. So I'm like, what is actually happening right now?
I'm definitely going to post that on the internet. So I think people will find it relatable because everyone who watched this miniseries back in the day, we were entranced and we were invested. And then the ending is so flop-tina. It is
flop-tina.
It's Flop City. And it's so comical because like, right. The thing about movies or any story, comedy, horror, whatever, you have to escalate, right? Like that's the whole thing of like beats. Like you have to keep raising the stakes. And at the end, it's like, okay, so at the end we have a big bad and it better be a big bad. So in the remake movies, again, it's totally CGI'd out, but they have like Bill Skarsgård's
I'll just
face.
Google a picture of it.
I'll send it.
Watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, you can watch the screen grabs, but you basically get a huge Pennywise face on an enormous spider body that's like the size of a dragon, right? It's enormous. And like how they kill it in the remake movies is very different. Because again, Stephen King was on so much fucking cocaine. He was like, let's do this whole, at the end, we have to do like this whole ritual, which is based in like Native American lore. And like, that's how they would defeat like skinwalkers and demons and like all this crazy shit. And then the kids were like, and let's also have sex. So we're not kids anymore. It's a whole thing. It's just a whole fucking thing. So in the remake movies, they basically like insult, they basically bully the it monster to death. They're like, you're nothing, you know,
lame.
Lame.
Ooh, lame.
I'm like, don't any of y'all know how to write an ending? I know writing is hard, and I know that it's especially hard to like finish a work. You know, we all know this.
Yeah.
But it's just like, what are we going to do? We've had like hours and hours of this movie. How do we finish it? Oh, let's just call Pennywise stupid and ugly. That's the end.
Isn't it supposed to be like anti-bully because you all were bullied so much by Henry?
Right. Yeah. In the remake movies, I think they're just like, well, we're the bullies now, or like we're gonna take the power back, you know? Like, yeah,
boring.
it's stupid. And we're in the miniseries, they're like, well, here's your spider. I guess let's kick it. And then they like kick it over, and then they're like, well, that's not enough. How do we know it's like dead?
So they
go ahead.
Burrow out the heart, and everyone raises this like gross beating heart.
Like it's fucking Simba on Pride Rock.
Simba.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then like I kind of understood now when like he's talking about when it is talking about things floating down there. If you know the spider has these nests built up with all of the human remains, so right. I kind of find it funny because like Georgie had a funeral, and I guess like his body, like you said, like the arm was the only thing missing on him,
right?
Technically, but like everyone else, like there was no bodies found. They just like determined that that was a thing, or
yeah, I don't know. Like it's very unclear, and the lore is kind of fuzzy. Like he talks about floating, and it's like, okay, they're like all the wrapped up. They're the little wrapped up. What spider prey?
What do you call that? It's not a chrysalis. That's
cocoon.
Like a butterfly thing.
A cocoon. A cocoon. Like I'm doing my best Jasmine Masters. Like a cocoon.
I remember spider burrito.
Yo, that's a spider burrito. Yeah, no, he likes taking victims, just like he took Bill's wife Audra in that famous scene. I quote that scene literally at least once a week. Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Like whenever I'm offering anything to anyone, it's like, don't you want it? He really kills it. I love that Tim Curry gives 150 fucking %.
Yeah, he made the whole movie, honestly.
He did. Like everybody else is doing their best. I know I love a lot of the actors in it, but I think that we can all agree that like the reason why I had you watch this is really just so you could enjoy another iconic performance by Tim Curry. I feel like Tim Curry is going to pop up in a lot of the movies we're going to continue to cover. He really was like a childhood staple.
Mm-hmm.
So like
an icon, a legend.
It's still an icon, a legend. We've done The Worst Witch. We've now done It. He's definitely going to come up a couple more times. We're also going to cover more Stephen King's, because the more we were talking about formative childhood media, I was like, wow, I have watched and read a ton of Stephen King, and without him, I don't know where I'd be.
You wouldn't be the same person that you are today.
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of like an inherent, like a love of horror and like the weirdness. It's like he truly is like an American horror icon, and not everything that he's done has been great. I'll tell you what though, that man is prolific.
Mm-hmm.
He is out here writing every day. He has a great book that I'm looking on my shelf right now called On Writing. Is a whole book on writing and like his process and everything. And I think the secret is really like copious amounts of cocaine and having limitless free time to just write about killer clowns from outer space.
Anything. Yeah. Just anything horror related. I'm excited to get more into other Stephen King movies, films, because I haven't read any of his books before, and I know that I will eventually.
Wait, you've not read a single Stephen King?
Never once.
Oh my God. Well, that's for another podcast.
Yeah, that's the fifth podcast.
That's the fifth. Yeah. Like, let's break down every single Stephen King book that you have not read. Yeah, we can start a whole book club. I mean, I will say a thing about Stephen King. I know he has like critics as well. He's very readable. It's very easy to read. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. Like if you want like a little spooky ooky tale, he's written fantasy. He's definitely gone like more like sci-fi roots. He's written like non-horror stuff too. Like, I don't know if you know the movie Stand By Me is
I feel
also
like
Stephen King.
I've seen that, but it's just been so long.
And Shawshank Redemption.
I had to have seen Shawshank.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're looking at me like, okay, my boyfriend and my sister have never seen Shawshank Redemption. Listeners, listeners, I just don't, it's currently 2025 and they've never seen Shawshank. I just don't know. Like, it's been too long. Like we need to have seen this by now. Anyway, like, yeah, maybe I think let's open it up to the listeners. Like, we'll do a poll or something. Like, should we do like a whole month of Stephen King? Should we space them out? Should we do one Stephen King per month? Because we've got so many. And I'm not just talking like the really popular stuff. I'm talking like obscure stuff. Some of his really weird, like late 70s, early 80s stuff. We can talk about it all.
We've got long lists made for you guys. So.
We have so much fucking content that you guys are in for a real treat. So yeah, anything else before we wrap this incredible pod? Like, anything else you want to say about, I guess, I'm curious to know, would you recommend this movie to...
I would 1,000% recommend this movie and or miniseries to anyone who would like to watch.
You can go on eBay and find a dusty, crusty old VHS and pop it in your VHS. And watch it as it was meant to be seen on a very low quality television.
Right. I love this movie so much. I think I would have to give it a 9.
Whoa.
Out of 10. Maybe I maybe even a 9.5. It's almost a perfect piece of cinema.
Whoa, you liked it that much?
Well, and now that I know all of like what the book is really like, now I'm like really curious and traumatized by knowing what I know now.
You gotta read the book. It's good. It's really good. So I think, like, out of everything we've watched so far, this is your highest rated movie, maybe?
I would say this and Jaws.
Okay, yeah.
And
both classics.
Yeah, so far.
So we're gonna give it a 9.5 or like an A-.
Yeah, I would give it like a solid A.
Wow. Even the janky ass spider at the end didn't prevent this from getting an A.
That's why it's not an A+.
Right. If they had a bigger spider, if they had double spider budget.
Yeah, double the spider budget. And then I kind of laughed. And this is like the last scene or whatever, where it's like Bill's now he's just got a catatonic wife at the end. And then, he saves her by riding her on the bike, having some riding her straight into traffic. She finally wakes up.
Right. He had to put her through that, like, that essential childhood memory.
Trauma.
Yeah. It's all about being a kid again. Like, that's the only way you survive the catatonia of adulthood, is like making yourself feel like a kid again.
I was gonna say, any favorite lines, like you said, the don't you want it is probably one of your favorites.
Yeah, that's any of Pennywise's lines.
Yeah, I like kiss me, fat boy.
Yeah, that was, his delivery on everything was incredible. Yeah, I like when he goes, "You'll die if you try. You'll die if you try." Like, yeah. Yes, so there's honestly so many, like, anything that comes out of Tim Curry's mouth is incredible. I love that when he's in the shower scene with Eddie and he's like, he calls Eddie Wheezy because he has asthma.
Hey, Wheezy.
Yeah, it's like, this guy he's
full of jokes.
This clown's got jokes.
He cracks me up, honestly. He's one of my favorite villains, I think, like horror villains now.
I love that, like, I keep showing you these movies that I found traumatic when I was 10 and or 11 years old. And I'm like, didn't you find this scary? It's like with the Neverending Story. I was like, Gamork, the scary fucking wolf. And you're like, I love that guy.
I liked him. Yeah, he's great.
You're like, I was like, let me show you this trauma clown from childhood. You're like, actually, he's my best friend.
I do love him.
And I do love him. Yeah.
And then I have 2 things left that I want to mention. I want to say that I think Bill is like a Stephen King insert, self-insert, I'm assuming.
100%. Yes. Yeah. No, he does that a lot. He is always popping himself. I think that's a very like writerly thing to do as well. You're always going to have, and that's like honestly one of my favorite tropes, like in a book, like a book about a writer. Like he does that in Salem's Lot too, which I know you haven't seen any version of those, but yeah, the main character is also a writer who like comes back to his hometown. So it's like a very common trope. He just like, what do they say? You got to write what you know.
Yeah.
Right. So he's always out here doing that. He's like, yeah, I'm a successful horror writer who has to come back to his main hometown. He's got a long, sexy ponytail and a hot British wife. And meanwhile, Stephen King's wife and a girlfriend that he smooches on the side and suffers no repercussions from. So that's okay, I guess. What else were you going to say?
So this is something just thinking obscurely, like, do the kids all represent like the 7 deadly sins or something like that? Like, I'm not 100% sure, like, you know, like gluttony, lust, all of these things.
Whoa, that is a crazy fan theory that I've never heard. And
well, you're welcome. Yeah.
I actually don't know. That's crazy. I'm going to Google that right now. Losers Club, 7 deadly sins. That's a crazy poll.
That's my thought. My original thought after watching it, because there's 7 of them, obviously, and they all have their flaws, and all their flaws are very different. So I'm like, okay, is it something of that nature?
I'm not seeing anything like that online. People ask if like they're based on like actual people he knew from childhood. Yeah, that's interesting because I can't think of. I'm like trying to pull like, yeah, what even are the 7 deadly sins? We have like
pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth. I think sloth would be Stan.
Yeah, why? Because he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything, and he's like, I'm not a part of this group anymore. I don't care. Like, he's over it.
He gives up at the end. Maybe. Yeah. Who would be Wrath though? Like, who's super?
I think Bill.
Maybe. I mean, he's not like super violent or anything. That's interesting. Yeah, it's like, yeah, greed.
Like vengeance against the clown, though. You know, who killed his brother.
That's true. Bev is obviously lust.
Yeah.
She horny.
I would say gluttony, obviously Ben.
Okay. Who's pride? Who's pride?
Maybe Mike.
But he's not prideful at all.
I don't know. Maybe Mike's envy then, because he's like, oh, I just live in the same old house. You know, I can't leave, kind of thing. But he's not really like overly envious in the.
No, he's like, I had to stay behind because I had to. So yeah, that's a really interesting, like, out of pocket theory. I've never even considered that. But I think the like Lucky 7, like there's so many.
Pride could be Richie.
Pride is definitely Richie. Yeah. Like he's got that ego that you need to succeed as a male comedian. As a obnoxious 1990s stand-up comic. Yeah, I'm gonna pray on that. I'm gonna think about that. You know what? I showed you this movie to teach you something, but you ended up teaching me something.
And that's the beauty of the podcast, everyone.
That's it.
It's all a teachable moment.
Yeah, and it's been a spooky, ooky, kooky podcast
and Halloween special.
I have to pop in some spooky music too. Our special Halloween special. We thank you guys so much for listening. If you've made it this far for our deep dive.
Thank you so much.
Stephen King's It from 1990. If you have your own memories of this highly traumatizing TV movie from 1990, please leave us a comment, send us a DM, shoot us an email. We love to chit chat.
Tell us everything. Give us some opinions, some thoughts.
Smash that like button.
Subscribe. All that good stuff. Download, actually. Like, download it on Spotify or Apple. That really helps us continue on.
It That lets us know that you enjoy listening to two real life sisters talk about movies that are 30 years old. And we appreciate you. So, yeah, we hope everybody has a safe and spooky Halloween.
Ooh.
And
That's my witch cackle.
That's good. That's good. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of VHS Sisters. We hope you've had a fun and cozy time. Please consider liking, leaving a review, and following us on your podcast platform of choice. If you'd like to chat with us, please email us at VHSsisterspodcast@gmail.com. Love you. Bye.